Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Asad Lalji, and I'd like to welcome you to a very special evening here at the SR House. Avid Learning, in association with the Harvard Club of Mumbai and Penguin Random House, are delighted to present this lecture demonstration and discussion with veteran musician and sarod maestro Ustad Amjad Ali Khan to celebrate his recently launched publication, Master on Masters. Tonight, Maestro himself is here to share his intimate insights and excerpts in conversation with renowned journalist and biographer Satya Saran. Ustadji's book Master on Masters is an important tribute and a personal account of the lives of some of the greatest icons of Indian classical music. Having known these stalwarts personally, he brings them back to life in recalling anecdotes and details about them and their individual musical styles. In writing about them, Ustadji transcends the gharanas and the north-south divide and presents the portraits of these great artists that are drawn from affection, humor, and warmth. This evening wouldn't have been possible without the continued collaboration and friendship of the gifted sarod player Ayan Ali Bangash. We'd like to thank him for being here and his continued collaboration. Actually, this relationship started a little over 3 years ago when we Avid hosted a workshop on understanding and appreciating Indian classical music. I see many people out here who attended the workshop, including Satya, and it was with Ustadji, Ayan, and his brother Aman. So this is a continuation, and we look forward to many more collaborations. And Ayan, especially with the Royal Opera House. So thank you. As you know, before Satya begins her conversation with Ustadji, I want to take a minute to tell you a little bit about Satya. Satya Saran is a renowned journalist and currently serves as the consulting editor at HarperCollins India. She's also the executive director of Encyclomedia and a freelance writer and columnist. Satya has edited the Femina magazine for over 12 years and has been on the board of governors of NIFT, where she teaches fashion journalism. She's written biographies on Guru Dutt, S.T. Burman, Jagjit Singh. Satya has won numerous awards, including the Bharat Nirmal Award for Excellence in Journalism. Sorry, jet lag. Welcome, Satya. I'm sure you're looking forward to Ustadji's performance and preparing to be immersed in this rich world of Indian classical music, a magical evening of melodies, memories, and much more. But do remember to tag, tweet, post. Our handle is @AvidLearning. Our hashtag is Learning Never Stops. So please get social, but pay attention. So I'm going to request Satya to come on and introduce Ustadji and begin this evening. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.
Good evening. And what an honor this is, and what an audience this is. It's really an honor, Ustadji, to be here on the same stage with you and introducing you. I have one line to describe Ustadji before I start reading this wonderful introduction, that he is the person who has the sarod which speaks. He's the master of the speaking sarod. Amjad Ali Khan is one of the undisputed masters of the music world. Born to sarod maestro Hafiz Ali Khan, he gave his first performance at the age of 6 and is credited with reinventing the technique of playing the sarod. Over the course of a distinguished career spanning more than 6 decades, he has won numerous accolades, including a Grammy nomination, the Crystal Award by the World Economic Forum, the Sangeet Natak Academy Award, and all the 3 Padma Awards. He has performed at venues the world over, including the Royal Albert Hall, as well as at the prestigious Nobel Peace Prize concert in 2014 in Oslo, in Norway. Samangam, his first sarod concerto, has been performed by world-renowned orchestras in France, London, Wales, Scotland. I can go on, but I'll only name these few. Ustad ji is also a brilliant communicator. I have listened to him play and talk about his art at this very same venue, and it was a wonderful experience. His latest book, Master on Masters, which is the reason why we are here today, is another aspect of his wonderful ability to communicate with the instrument through the pen or just when he speaks. So that Ustad Sahab can share some of the gems hidden in the book with us, we shall have a small discussion, with your permission. Before I continue, I would like to say the book is on display here. It is on sale there, and I've read it twice, and I plan to read it twice more, at least. I want to start with a very a general question to you. What does it take to become a classical Indian musician?
First of all, I would like to thank all of you and Satyaji, Avid, and the Ruria family. It's such a beautiful, inspiring place. And I still remember those 2 days I spent here. I did workshop. Mr. Asad Lalji, I mean, he really takes everything very seriously. And we always enjoy working with him. Your question, my case is slightly different than rest of the world because I was born in the family of musicians and we could only play music, we couldn't do anything else. And music was around me and that helped me. And also because I was the youngest child of my father, the age difference between me and my father was quite long, and he could have been easily my grandfather, but I received all the love, attention from every member of the family. So you say, in our way of life, I feel embarrassed to say it's my profession, but it's my passion of life and responsibility of the long legacy lineage. And the day child becomes responsible of any family, that is the best day for the parents. And that happened, I realized my responsibilities because my senior members of my family, my few brothers and uncles, and everybody was a sarod player. But my father was looking for something, and so I became the responsible of the whole family from the age of 12. And every corner of India, every state nurtured me, encouraged me. And but I missed my childhood. The freedom of childhood I could not enjoy. I became very like an old man from the age of 12 and very responsible. And so that journey began, performing here and there. And I used to earn money through the concerts. And then the time came in 1964 when I was supposed to play with my father in Delhi. And he was quite old by then, and he was losing his hearing ability, and he was supposed to perform, but then suddenly he couldn't hear. And he just sat in the front row. And that was the time he saw that it was a crowded, sold-out show, Sapru House in Delhi. So he was very happy, and so, all these good wishes and blessings, we believe that it's very important. We can't describe the values of blessings, Ashirwad, but it's very important, and I'm very fortunate that I received a lot of Ashirwad, love from my parents and all the great musicians.
Wonderful. But if there are many in the younger generation who are hoping to, reach a stature at least somewhat close to yours, what would you tell them? What is required to reach a stature which recognizes you as having, reached where no one else has reached before? What is it? Is it talent? Is it dedication? What is it? What is it that is the core quality of a real classical musician?
I think the most important thing is the destiny. एक हिंदी में कहते हैं, पुरानी कहावत है, कीचड़ से कमल खिलता है. So, but hard work and tolerance, patience, that's the only mantras to achieve your goal of life. Because we have become very intolerant. The whole world has become, I don't want to say only younger generation, but every generation. I think we have lost tolerance. But in music, to achieve anything, I think you have to be very, very tolerant and patient. And especially creative people. We become a bit different than the rest of the society. And most of us become very arrogant and very intolerant, impatient. They start talking any kind of thing. They sometimes order, they demand the organizers to write before their name Pandit and Ustad and all those things. So poor organizers, they feel very strange that never used to happen before. Out of love, people started. Even today in my life, I could not print in my letterhead Ustad. I just Amjad Ali Khan. It's the love of people they address the way they are addressed.
I also am very curious about whether, there's this divide between Carnatic music and North Indian music, a perceived divide. Is it a real divide, or are they held together by a common tradition?
You see, there is no meaning of Carnatic music. Carnatic is a state.
Correct.
Andhra is a state. And so the basic thing is that language creates barriers. Often in my interviews, I have mentioned that the time has come, we must call it Indian classical music of South, Indian classical music of North. Because it's the same Sare Gama Padani. Only the language and most of the kritis, the compositions, what the South Indian musicians sing, they are not only from Karnataka, they are from Telugu also. There is all the 4 states of South. So I don't know why still, people, it creates more void. It's the time to merge, try to understand, and try to do things collectively. Most of their songs, they are devotional songs in praise of Lord Ganesha, in praise of Krishna or Devis, and so it's all language. But what musical notes they are using, it's all Sarigama Padani, it's common. But South India, I must credit one, their mathematics. Ramanujam. I mean, greatest mathematician. I heard somewhere in this Israel tour of Mr. Modi that Netanyahu was praising Ramanujam, and he realized. So the mathematics is in their system. So, their whole way of life, even their music also, they give more importance to the rhythm. Everybody keep the time cycle. So it is a gift of God, this mathematics and rhythm, which South Indian music, I always admire that.
Thank you. How would you say the world of classical music is different from the world of entertainment, music for entertainment? Are they completely different, or there's an overlap?
You see, our humble demands for the classical musicians demands that please give attention when we perform. Don't start dancing. You can dance within your body, in your mind, in your heart, but don't disturb the other listeners. So, but it happened once in my private concert in Bombay at the time of Osho. All the Osho followers, they used to wear pendant and saffron clothes and all that. So it was my friend's house. I was playing here. And there were so many film stars. When I was playing Jhala, they all started dancing and they went on the balcony. So afterwards they felt sorry. I said, no, but don't do it in public. So for the entertainment, they allow you to do whatever you feel like doing. And that's a different mission, different world. And it's growing bigger day by day, the world of entertainment. But we demand certain discipline from our audience.
Very, very rightly so. Is there a difference between the vocal and instrumental traditions in classical music? Are they taught differently? Are they approached differently?
Vocal is very important because I often say that every human being is born with sound and rhythm. Conversation, recitation, chanting, they're all part of music. And the heartbeat is the indication of rhythm. But some realize, some don't realize. Basically, there are only two types of music in the world. Pure sound, sound of human being, sound of bird, sound of symphony, cello, violin, sarod, sitar, or the human expressions like da, ra, ri, ra, 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 na, ra, na, ra, no, ri, ra, na. So most of the time I'm humming, and sometimes I'm humming in the wrong places also. You know, I forget where I'm sitting. So this is called pure sound, where there is no language. The sound of instrument and symphony. And what people who are singing, they are using the language, whether it is folk music, whether it is Dhurpad, Khyar, Tumri, Dadra, or film songs. Film songs becomes more popular if you have a lyrics like "Hum tum ek kamre mein band ho, chabi kho jaye." So they create that kind of language to entertain the people, and they are very popular because of the language. But at the same time, with all due respect to language, language creates barriers. So thank God, I live in the world of sound. I have nothing to do with language, but I also started writing. It's a very recent love of my life.
Do you want to share with this audience your personal love affair with the sarod?
Sarod, as you know, is a Persian word. Like sitar is also a Persian word. Actual pronunciation is sehtar. That means, seh means three in Farsi, the instrument of three strings. And sarod, actual pronunciation is sarud, which means nagma, tarannum, musiqi. So it's a Persian word. My forefathers, they used to play rabab. Rabab still exists in Afghanistan, Central Asia. And Guru Nanak Dev, he was very fond of rabab. And he had his followers, Mardana and Bala. So from rabab looks like sarod, but technically the strings, they use gut string. So my forefathers modified and gave this present shape of sarod. In every era, there were great sarod players. In every era, they played beautifully. But from my childhood, I was listening sarod at that time. But I always wanted to sing through my instrument. That was not happening. But my father showed me. My father was, he had a beautiful voice. And he was the first instrumentalist who started singing on the stage, Tumri and Khayal. Then a younger generation followed him. So, to express your feelings on the instrument, I mean, I don't play sarod, but I sing through the instrument. So that is the change I try to bring in this instrument. Otherwise, everybody, they're all great, they all play sarod, but I sing through my instrument.
And I think in your book you have also mentioned that you have played Old MacDonald Had a Farm on your sarod. And it was much appreciated by children.
When my son Aman, they were 4 or 5 years old. At that time, to entertain them, I used to play all these nursery rhyme on the sarod, Jingle Bells and Old MacDonald. And then I created many songs for the children. And there's a HMV, they produced 2 cassettes. I think it's still available on CDs. So, because there was nothing prepared in our own country to entertain our own children. Everything was imported from overseas. So that was, I realized, even the birthday song I created in Hindi, Aao Hum Sab Milke Gaye Bajaye. So, happy birthday is a very nice thing, but we must have something original from your own country also.
I don't know, I'm sure you've noticed that as you see young people wandering around, they always have earphones on, and they're listening to music. Now, what would you say is the way to make them listen a little more to pure music? How can we up the ante, so to say, of the quality of music that they listen so that they go closer to the classical?
You see, classical is a very prestigious word, but many people are very afraid of this word also. Classical से लोग डर जाते हैं कि भी classical है. But I feel anything which is appealing, anything which is in proper tune is classical. जो बेसुरा गाएगा वो classical musician नहीं है. जो बेसुरा बजाएगा वो classical musician नहीं है. लता मंगेशकर, people don't call her a classical musician, but I think she's a classical musician क्योंकि she's so perfect and so tuneful every song, whatever she has sung, because she learned classical music. Classical music does help to make your foundation strong, but the music should be appealing. Anything which is appealing is classical, I feel.
I'm going to I'm going to explore another area, which is the world, and I want to ask you about is there a space for Indian classical music or Indian music on the world stage, so to say? Is it appreciated? Is it understood?
They are so kind, so encouraging. They appreciate anybody performing there. The moment tabla begins, they all start applauding. So they are very kind. They give you standing ovation also. But they don't know the caliber of the artist. Which class of musician they are listening, what is the stature of that artist. But they are very kind people.
So what is the place of Western and Indian classical music in the educational sphere today? Do you see a difference in how the West preserves its legacy of music as compared to how we do it? How do we pass on? How do we preserve?
This preservation is definitely the Western world. They are very good in that. The way they have preserved Shakespeare, we could not preserve Mirza Ghalib and so many other great poets. Me and my wife, we bought tickets to see Beethoven's house in Bonn. It was a long queue. And while they were showing, this is Beethoven's piano, this is his bed, this is all his objects, I started thinking about my country. Do we have any musician's house being preserved the way Beethoven's house is preserved? I could think only Rabindranath Tagore, I think, in Calcutta, and nothing else, because I know so many politicians, wherever they die, that becomes a memorial. But I wish Teen Murti House should have been the Prime Minister house forever, like 10 Downing Street. But we are emotional people in our country. So it's a nice thing also. After seeing that house, I thought I should convert my humble house in Gwalior into a museum, because my father was born there, my childhood memories. So at that time, Mr. Arjun Singh was HRD minister. So people told me it will cost this much amount, so I went with the application. And he very kindly sanctioned everything. So all the bureaucrats, they were very uncomfortable about it, that so much money was never given to any musician. On my behalf, Mr. Arjun Singh said that he never asked for anything before. So the museum is now open to public, museum is made, and we have been honoring all the great musicians. All these musicians, all these 12 musicians, they received Hafiz Ali Khan Award in my father's name. And we invited all the political leaders, Sonia Gandhi ji, Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and Dr. Manmohan Singh. Everybody came. So whenever you are near Agra or Delhi, please come to Gwalior and see that humble place, Sarod Ghar. It has all the instruments of my forefathers, my childhood instruments, and many great musicians, they have donated their instruments in our museum. Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab, he used to play one instrument called Swarmandal while singing. So that Swarmandal is in Sarod Ghar. So it is just a memorial of great musicians, and it's open to public.
Wonderful. I remember reading recently, since you mentioned Ramanujam, that very recently they broke down his house for a mall, and the mall has come up. Very recently. I just read it in some article and it really hurt. This is what happens. Singers and musicians have always transcended state and faith borders. Do you think that singers will be the force that unites what is being broken all over the world today? Do you think that power will come from music?
I'm sorry,
You know, the fact that everyone's talking about their language, their country, but music transcends everything. And music has in the past done it. Do you think it will do it again in the future?
You see, music has united the whole world. Music has connected the whole world, because the same 7 notes, sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, and they call it do re mi fa sol la ti. Any music of any system, any country, we are using the same musical notes. So we had partition. ज़मीन के बंटवारे हो गए, सुर के बंटवारे नहीं हो सकते. पाकिस्तान बन गया, हिंदुस्तान बन गया, ये 2 टुकड़े हो गए, लेकिन स्वर वही सुर वो गा रहे हैं. There is nothing called Pakistani music. It's Indian music, because they were part of India. So there's the same culture, same music. So music, I feel, is a precious gift of God, and music has connected the world. Language, they have their own, language has power, I mean, lot of power. You can criticize, you can abuse, you can say anything. And politicians, because of language, they win the election, they lose the election. So thank God we are in not that race of win or lose. In sports you have, that somebody is losing, somebody is winning. But music is just a way of life. इसमें कोई हार जीत नहीं है. It's a long journey of life. Just keep walking with dignity and hard work.
I'm going to ask a very strange question now. That the sitar and the tabla are often heard even on soundtracks of Western films nowadays. They've kind of got assimilated. What about the sarod? Do you see that also being performed or assimilated into symphony music?
You see, the human achievement, I'm very proud that human beings have achieved so much. We have created cell phone and so many gadgets. And somebody has created keyboard. So keyboard is a greatest achievement of a human being. Keyboard can produce the sound of sitar and violin and cello. Many professional musicians of Bombay, they have lost their job because now keyboard is producing violin and cello and all those things. But thank God, keyboard can't produce sarod.
Wonderful.
But I'm sure one day they will do that also.
No, but actually you preempted my next question, which was about the keyboard. And do you think these wonderful instruments that have lived with us for centuries will slowly be, people will forget how to make them or play them? Do you think that will happen? The instruments, the tabla, the percussion instruments,
No,
the string instruments.
Nothing will go. I think the future, now I feel there are about 500 sarod players all over the world. 10,000 tabla players all over the world. So every instrument, they have their own future and people are interested, especially overseas, America, Europe. You mentioned about this Nobel Peace Prize. That was a very, very unusual demand for us to perform only for 5 minutes. I mean, my immediate reaction was no, I wouldn't like to perform for 5 minutes. Then, I realized, and people made me realize the importance of Nobel Peace Prize. But it was a challenge, because in classical music, सबसे बड़ा खतरा यही होता है कि शुरू तो कर दिया, भगवान जाने ख़त्म कब करेगा ये. And that is why the ghazal singers and the bhajan singer and folk singers, everybody, they realized this, so they were more precise in their presentation. So, what was the topic?
The question, I'm listening to you, I also forget. No, it was about, well, I think you said what you had to say. It was about this. Okay. I'm going to now go to the book, yes, which is a fascinating book. And what it does is give you a very intimate, personal, exclusive pen portraits of legendary greats whom you've only heard of or heard. If you're lucky, you've heard them. Otherwise, you've heard of them. But here you're almost feeling them in the flesh and knowing about their talent. In the book, you have also said that who you work or accompany makes a big difference. So do you want to talk about some of the people that you have worked with and how they inspired or changed you?
I just mentioned about the duration of the concert of classical musicians. This reminds me, these 12 great musicians, I miss them all. and I had personal equation. But one incident about legendary classical singer Ustad Amir Khan Sahab, he was called musician's musician, very slow singing, and he had a very niche audience in Maharashtra or Bengal. So once we were invited to perform the first LG of Delhi, Mr. Amjad. So while going in the car, in the same car we were sitting, तो खान साहब मुझे कह रहे हैं कि बेटा कहना भाई ऐसा है, इट वॉज ए ऑफिशियल डिनर ऑफ गवर्नर्स ऑफ इंडिया, चलिए सारे हिंदुस्तान के गवर्नर आ रहे हैं, इनको म्यूज़िक की समझ तो है नहीं, तो तुम भी कम बजाना, मैं भी कम गाऊंगा। मैंने कहा हुजूर मैं तो आपको सुनने जा रहा हूँ, मैं आपके सामने क्या गाऊंगा। तो ही वॉज ए टावरिंग पर्सनैलिटी एंड we reached there, and within half an hour I finished my playing, and everything was official, dinner time, this, that. So we had about 5, 6, 7 around Amir Khan Sahab and all of us. Then Khan Sahab started singing, and we were all saying, वाह वाह बहुत अच्छे, वाह वाह। तो उनका मन लग गया काफ़ी, वो गा रहे। तो एक राग ख़त्म हुआ, then he started second राग, तो दूसरा राग गाने लगे वो। ही नेवर यूज्ड टू टेक पॉज, वो एक राग गाते गाते यूज्ड टू स्विच ओवर टू सेकंड राग। अब गवर्नर मुझे इशारा कर रहे हैं कि व्हेन विल ही एंड। सो वी आर डूइंग साइन लैंग्वेज, व्हेन आई डोंट नो व्हेन इज गोइंग टू एंड। सो ही इज सिंगिंग एंड वी वर ऑल सिंगिंग वाह 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 बहुत अच्छे, वाह वाह वाह। वी वर एंजॉयिंग एक्चुअली, एंड खान साहब वाज इन ए ग्रेट मूड. And then the governor is showing me now what will. I said, take them everybody for dinner, but I can't stop him. So everybody left. Only governor sitting there. And Khan Sahib started third rag also. And he was in a great mood. We were वाह 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 बहुत mood में. अब governor कह रहा है, ऐसे you also go there. So we were doing sign language and he also left. Mr. Amjad also left. Khan Sahib in a great mood singing. He lost track of time totally. This is what happens in classical music. And then suddenly I think he realized there's nobody in the audience. And abruptly he stopped and just told me, यार कुछ ज़्यादा हो गया आज। मैंने कहा हुजूर बहुत अच्छा लग रहा था, you were in a great mood. So that is what is classical musician. We lose track of time, and it's very difficult, it's very painful for us to finish a piece within 5 minutes. But it's a challenge. As we took Aman, and we were all there in this Oslo Nobel Peace Prize, 5 minutes, but 10,000 people were watching the concert. So, all these musicians in 1964, in Punjab, there is a big festival in Jalandhar. I think oldest music festival. It's called Baba Harballabh Music Festival. So as a young musician, I was invited. There was a police officer, Mr. Ashwini Kumar. Later on, he became president of hockey, and then very eminent person and very fond of music. Because of him, that all the great musicians, so they were all used to be there. So, and then in every festival, Ravi Shankar ji is playing, कहीं विलायत खान साहब बजा रहे हैं, कहीं भीमसेन जोशी जी गा रहे हैं. So suddenly, they have all gone. It's a big void. I really miss them. And this book is a tribute. We all had our gharanas difference of opinion. We had different opinion with Ravi Shankar ji or Vilayat Khan Sahab. But Bhimsen Joshi ji हमारा बहुत प्यार था, because he learned from my father also. He learned from many gurus. For 3 years, Bhimsen ji, in fact, Bhimsen ji himself mentioned everywhere that 3 years he was in Sarodghar. And there is a very important rag, Puriya and Marwa. These two rag, they are very difficult to understand. And when a classical musician understands the character of Puriya and Marwa, so he can be considered a good musician. And Bhimsenji often mentioned that my father taught the difference of Marwa and Puriya. So I had many evenings, and they came to my house, I went to their house. We had good family relations. And it's actually difficult to write on other musicians. Nobody takes this risk. It's a risk. It's a risky matter, because when I presented the book to Mr. Modi on the 13th of June, just a few days before, on the 5th of June, he was giving a speech in IIT, very good speech, where he mentioned about my father, some incident that I should also share with you. But he did not mention my father's name. He told the whole story, and he said, I read this. So when I met him, I said, that was my father, the story what you said. He said, yes, I know. I know very well that he was your father, but because of some reasons I could not mention his name. I said, it's okay. So, so it's a tribute. Generally a musician, if you see the history of classical musicians, most of them, they have written on their guru, on their father, on their mother, or grandfather. But because I felt, and my family members, my sons, Aman, Ayan, my wife, Sublakshmi, so we generally, when there is a serious topic, we all discuss, and then finally we take a decision. So it was very spontaneous. There was so much, it was like Aman and Ayan, they have written a book for HarperCollins on 50 musicians. They listen to 50 CDs. So it's a education, it's a understanding. My father often said that you must try to understand the beauty of every style. Alladiya Khan Sahab was the great guru. This Jaipur Gharana, Kesarbai, Moghubai, the same families, Kishori Amonkarji. Then Abdul Karim Khan Sahab, Kirana Gharana. So Bhimsen Joshi ji belongs to Kirana Gharana. So every Gharana has a distinctive style of singing. But finally, music has to be appealing. That's most important.
Would you like to share one more anecdote from the book?
This story, what Mr. Modi mentioned, it's a historical. 1960, my father was receiving Padma Bhushan. He was very saintly, fakir admi the. He took me along to Rashtrapati Bhavan. And we didn't have cars. We went in a taxi, and he received the award. After the award ceremony, so there is a ritual there to have tea in Mughal garden. So Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru came up to my father, and my father introduced me to Nehru. So he had that sense of humor. Khan Sahab, बच्चे से आप कोई गुरु मंत्र तो नहीं छुपा रहे? तो my father said, नहीं, मैं सब सिखाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. Then Rajendra Prasad came up to my father. Khan Sahab, what can I do for you? आप ठीक तो है. We needed everything. We were living in a rented place. Generally, you ask the president or prime minister to give a government accommodation and this award and that award. But my father said, no, grateful to God, I have everything. But please save the purity of Rag Darbari. Very unusual demand. I was feeling embarrassed what my father is talking. To whom? Dr. Rajendra Prasad. And he, poor thing, he said, the Khan Sahab मैं समझा नहीं. फिर उन्होंने कहा कि ये मियाँ तानसेन ने बनाया था राग दरबारी. People are taking liberty in this rag. The purity will go away. So you being the president, you must protect the purity of this rag. Such an innocent, saintly person. and one-track mind, focused. He was hoping as if next day President will pass a resolution in the parliament that everybody should sing Darbari like this. So innocent. And he did not know that you can't leave before the president. He started walking. President says, और क्या सेवा करूं खान साहब बताइए. कहते नहीं अभी मेरे नमाज का वक्त हो गया है, मैं इजाज़त चाहता हूँ. चल पड़े. मैं पीछे पीछे उनके. No security man stopped him also. He came home like an innocent child, told my mother कि राजेंद्र बाबू ने वायदा कराया कि अब दरबारी की प्योरिटी ठीक रहेगी. So such people came to this world and so committed, so dedicated and tremendous faith in God कि कल सब ठीक होगा. Because in our life of classical musicians, planning was not allowed. You have to surrender yourself to God. You have to surrender yourself to music. What will happen tomorrow, you should not think about it. Practice, riyaz karo, sadhana karo. Or, so that is the way of life. So I feel that this story was important to share with everybody.
It's a beautiful story. It's moving. Well, I think we are almost at the end of our time. But I'm going to ask you one last question because I am very curious to know this learning from a guru. How is it different from the way you learned from your father and the way you've taught your students, your sons? Is there a difference in the entire system of Guru Shishya Parampara now? Has it changed?
You see, my father was a performer. He was not a teacher. Because every performer is not a good teacher. That's a history. If you think of certain names, who's the representative of Ustad, Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab? Or who's the representative of Bhimsen Joshi ji? So you'll have to think. So my father was a performer, and people around him, if you have a ability to grasp and understand, you become a musician. If you have no ability, then you miss the bus. एक पुरानी कहावत है, चिराग तले अंधेरा. कि आदमी चिराग के पास है लेकिन वो रोशनी उसको नहीं दिखी. Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab, I had the honor of talking to him, meeting him, spending some time. So, क्या सवाल था?
Change in the Guru Shishya Parampara.
हाँ, परंपरा. So my father he has no patience. If anybody playing out of tune, he will throw him out, and he won't bear that, or he'll go out himself. And that happened with me many times. He left, or he asked me to go. But while teaching my own sons, by the grace of God, I have so much patience and tolerance that I could hear to them. And I am to share this about a teaching session.
We'll do a special one for him. He says do a special one. Next question is over. This is the last one. Why don't you just 2 minutes? Everybody love to listen to you.
Namaskar, very good evening to all of you. My father does this, that's why I didn't want to sit here. Well, what can I say? I'm so blessed to have a guru like him, a teacher like him, a father like him. That's all I can say. I mean, I think he actually, during the time when we were growing up, never used to concentrate a lot on his own career. He would not go on long tours to be with us at that age. And I mean, I guess today we are just very fortunate and blessed to be able to spend so much father-son time, not just as father-sons or teacher-students, but also as companions in the field. My brother and me being very humble companions, but it's just a blessing. I think he's been extremely patient, not just with my brother and me, but so many of my father's students. I think they're performing all over the world today. And I think we're just all fortunate and blessed. And I think every day one is learning something or the other. It's a constant learning process. It's not just in the music room. It could be even the walk from here till the car. I might just composition or something about life. So I'm wearing my learning shoes all the time, and I think that's the blessing you have as a son, and the students, of course, have the similar blessing in so many other situations. Yeah.
Thank you, Ustadji. You've been very patient with me. And now we are going to enter the most interesting phase, the most exciting phase we are waiting for. Audience questions? Okay, audience questions before we go to the... Hassan, you're saying something? You want to do the music first? Okay, I think so too.
Ustadji. Okay, Ustadji, I would like you to share with the audience here, since we're talking about anecdotes, the anecdote of you, Lady Diana, and myself, and your shawl in Delhi in the early years of this century.
I think it will be better if you narrate that story, because I have spoken my बोलने की साधना नहीं करी मैंने.
नहीं बिल्कुल आप.
So it's better you speak about that incident. I mean, he's a great, my old friend Mr. Arlik Padamsi, he was there in that dinner, Princess Diana. Please tell that.
Okay. This is, I've got very little to do with music, but it's got everything to do with Tamiz and, Tehzeeb. The way the older generation, and still in India, is there. We were invited, Amjad Ali separately and myself separately, to Delhi. Narasimha Rao was Prime Minister, and Prince Charles and Lady Diana were in the last legs, by the way, which we didn't know at that time of their marriage. And she was sitting all alone at the Taj Mahal, and there's a beautiful picture of her. Anyway, we had this dinner in the Prime Minister's house. But the only thing was, it was dead of winter. And any of you who spent a winter in Delhi, with little or no central heating, will know what I mean. And for some reason, the protocol officer had laid out the dinners in the garden. So there were small tables, about 6 each, so 6 people at a table, and so on and so forth. And when I went out, it was freezing. I was literally shivering. And as luck would have it, I was seated with Lady Di on my right hand and Amjad Ali Khan on my left hand. What a wonderful setting to be. When the soup was served, I noticed that Lady Di put her soup spoon into the bowl, and as she lifted it up, it began to tremble because it was so cold. The soup was splashing all over the place. So, being a gentleman, not everyone will agree with that, I decided to took off my jacket immediately and said, Your Excellency, can I offer you my jacket? It seems to be very cold. She said, oh, that's very, very kind of you, thank you. And just as I was taking off my jacket, Amjad Ali Bhai jumps up from his seat and says, no, a jacket won't do. You must have a shawl. I am wearing a family shawl, which has been in my family for at least 200 years. It's a very, very wonderful shawl. Please, madam, please take my shawl. So I was beaten to the punch, literally. So what I said was, well, Lady Di, I agree. Your shawl probably is better than a jacket. Then we had dinner and so on. Very interesting dinner, I must say. And then, thank God, the protocol officer, you will all be pleased to know that the dessert will be served inside the house where there is central heating. So we all trooped into the big, huge living room. And at that point, Lady Di turned to Amjad Ali Bhai and said, thank you so much for your shawl. It's very sweet of you. I really was very warm in it. And please, here, take it. What did Amjad Ali Bhai do? No. This shawl is a gift from my family to you. I can't take it back. We never take gifts back in India. That is the custom. She said, no. You must take it. It's very expensive. I can't possibly take it. And they had this little argument. No, you must take it. No, I can't take it. You must take it. No, I can't take it. So I stepped in and I said, all right, I'll solve the problem. Huh? Lady Di, you take my jacket and I'll take the shawl. Yaad hai? I met him a year later at of all places, London airport. So I went to him and I said, Amjad bhai, kya hua shawl ke baare mein? Did she return it? He said, nahi, bilkul nahi, but I got a very beautiful letter. Tell them about what happened after that, because I was not there. I still got my jacket.
Thank you, sir, for sharing that memorable evening. In fact, the next day, the High Commissioner's wife rang up and she spoke to my wife that if you want, I can bring back the shawl. So my wife also said the same thing. Like once we give, we don't take it back. So then she wore it in Jaipur also, when she went to Jaipur. Yes. So Prince Charles asked me when I met him in London, Highgrove, I hope she had the decency of thanking you about the shawl. I said, no, yes, she did thank. So I'll just play a few compositions for you. I'm sorry to file my nails during the recital, but not to beautify my fingers. It's a necessity because I'm not playing sarod with fingertip. Like violin is played with fingertip, sitar. But if I play sarod with fingertip, it will sound like this. So this is also sound of sarod, but with fingertip. But to bring out the essence and the resonance, I have to press the string with the edge of my fingernails. So you can see the difference. Fingertip with the nails. So the composition in Rag Shri a composition itself is a complete rag. Every time you don't have to tell the story of the whole Ramayana or A to Z. A composition itself is a complete rag, whether for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But in our country, we follow the rituals. Whether it is religion, whether it is classical music, everybody follow the same track. But I always did what I thought right for the music or for in my life. Rag Shri. Some more monitor. so many kind of singing, Dhurpad, Thumri, Dadra or folk music. But every singing style has a language, lyrics, text. But there was a Sufi saint in 13th century, Hazrat Amir Khusro, who created Qawwali called Qalbana, also created a style of singing called Tarana. He created a language of sound, language of music, language of syllables. Tana tom tadare dani dirdre dani. So as a tribute to Hazrat Amir Khusro, I have composed many kind of taranas, but this particular piece is in Rag Bahar, followed by a composition in Miyaki Malhar. Tadare dani, tadare dani, tadani dim, tana tanum. Tadare dani, tadani dim, tana tanum. Tanum, tananum, taderena, 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 tadare dani, tadani dim, tana tanum. Tana na 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 dim, tana na 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 na, tana na 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 dim, tana na na na. Tananum, tananum, taderena, tananum, tadare dani. Takita takidum kita takita 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 klanda klanda klanda. Tadare dani tadani dim tana tanum tadare dani tadani dim tana tanum. Tadani dim tana tanum tadare dani tadani dim tana tanum tanum tananum taderena 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 tadare dani tadani dim tana tanum. Tana na 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 dim tana na 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 tana na 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 dim tana na tananum 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 tadare dani takita takidum kita takita 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 takanda kanda tadare dani tadani dim tana tanum tadare dani tada. So I'll play on the sarod now. one composition which I used to play a long time back. And recently one of my disciples came and he told me that you haven't played since last 20 years one particular composition which you used to play in your young days. So it's a song sung by many great singers, and I'll conclude with a folk composition of Tagore, Ekla Chalo Re. Thank you.
On behalf of AVID, the Harvard Club of Mumbai, and Penguin, I'd like to thank Ustadji for sharing his knowledge, his music, and really a slice of you today. Ustadji, I spent 2 years at Harvard, but that 2-day workshop I did with you, I think the learnings from there are going to far outlive the learnings from Harvard. On behalf of the audience, I'd also like to especially thank AVID because, Asad, for a lot of us in the audience, an opportunity to be in such proximity with a master like Ustadji is really a dream. So thank you to you and Ustadji for making this dream come true for the audiences, So thanks a lot. On behalf of AVID, we would like to thank Ustadji. You have given us all an evening to cherish for many years to come. Thank you. Thank you, Satya, for so wonderfully bringing out Ustadji's stories, his memories, and his insights. Thank you to Ayan Bhai and to Harvard Club of Mumbai and Penguin Random House for collaborating with us to bring all of you this memorable evening. We hope you have all enjoyed it. Ustadji will be signing copies of his book in that corner over there. So request you to please take your questions and your books and anything else to him in that corner. Thank you.